Hey guys, welcome back to Drip and Farm for Property. I'm your host, Drip Coach. Let's jump right into it. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what happened here. I know a lot of you are confused, wondering what's going on, looking at the chart outside in, thought that DripX was supposed to help OG Drip, all these different questions, and we're going to answer those in this video. So first and foremost, what caused this? Well, I discussed it already at length in my channel, talking about the dashboard divs that were available from when the miners were staked. Not staked, miners were mining, I guess you could say. And a lot of people were able, I wouldn't say a lot, there wasn't that much liquidity, but we can actually go here and see where the total amount of sales. I showed you guys that, so you already saw my liquidity video. But prior to this, we had about 350K of liquidity. And when you look over here, you see the volume, 532,000. So there was some buys in there that added to that volume, but mostly just a bunch of sell pressure. And that came from the Wrap Drip and DripX liquidity pool, which if you guys watched my last video, I showed you how that is tied directly to Drip. So what basically happened was a lot of people got those miners, and remember, a lot of those miners came from some OG Drip holders that had tons of OG Drip that they switched to Wrap Drip for free and were able to get into DripX down here at very cheap prices, staking. And remember, when you create, mining, when you create a miner, you're getting additional bonus DripX. So not only were their Wrap Drip free, they also got this bonus, and there was liquidity and stuff that was added and injected into the DripX ecosystem from the Wrap Drip buy. So there was definitely money to be had. But as you guys saw in my previous video, it was like 66,000, something like that. I didn't get any of that. So it wasn't enough to definitely go around, and that's what caused the sell-off. And then there was definitely a bunch of slippage that would have affected a lot of those people. But basically, those that were able to sell and claim, they did so. And then that's what happened to the chart. And then that in turn also affects Wrap Drip, because as I showed you guys in my previous video, everything goes through Drip. So even eventually it makes its way back to Drip, and even OG Drip had a sell-off. Why? Because that's where the actual liquidity lies. Again, watch my video that came out yesterday to understand this. So you're asking the question, how does DripX actually help OG Drip then? And that's where this synergistic development takes place. I'm about to break that down in another video, but I want to show you this real quick. So this is the tax vault, the entire history of the tax vault. But we're not going to go to see the whole thing. We're going to start instead from about July last year. So we had these pumps. We had this here in September where we filled up the tax vault, and then the tax vault was just empty. Then we had this nice little pump here. This was the buy and burn in December, where a lot of drip came in. But let me zoom out real quick again, because I didn't highlight this real quick. We zoom out all the way to see the history of the tax vault. You see this line here. This is where we're at right now. We are at the highest we have ever seen the tax vault at 2.6 million drip tokens. Now, what's important to understand is how that took place. And that's why I'm going to tie this together with how DripX actually supports OG Drip. Now it's going to take some time to see drip price appreciation, and it will also take new investor capital. But let's just look at what's happened to the tax vault. So once DripX launched, we filled up the tax vault and we had over 1.1 million. That was the DripX launch here. That was everyone buying the rumor, basically taking their OG Drip and wrapping it, which caused transactions and taxes, as well as people buying straight up OG Drip and buying straight up Wrap Drip. All of that created taxable events that filled up the tax vault. After that, people had their DripX and they tried to either sell it on the news when it launched with the platform, or they came over here and created the short 8-day miner stakes. So what we saw take place on the charts after that is a lot of claiming from the tax vault. So people still had, again, those dashboard divs and a large amount of drip sitting there liquid. So it actually dropped from about 1.2 million all the way down to 800. So there was another 300,000 that came out from the 27th of February to the 29th. Now here's where it got interesting. This was yesterday. Well, this video right now is Saturday night, almost midnight, but the miners got released here. So why did the tax vault go up and the drip price go down? That's what you probably should be, or that's what you should be asking yourself, is how does this synergistic marriage work? Well, let's break it down. So when everyone was realizing profits from those miners that came unstaked, they claimed all these miners, and there were dashboard divs here to be had. There was about 300 to 400,000 liquidity there. There was definitely some money to be had, like I told you, but it wasn't what I previously had or what everybody was showing on their divs. I think my $400 miner said it was a $66,000 payout. That clearly was not going to happen. Just 7 of those would have liquidated the pool. So what happened was a few people were able to definitely sell into that liquidity pool. Well, when they sell into it, they have DripX, and then they were given wrap drip. Well, wrap drip has no value inherently. Yes, there are pools. I showed you that yesterday with these pools, but they're not a lot in those pools. The biggest liquidity pools are in drip. So initially, the early ones sold into the wrap drip pool and probably went out either in wrap BNB or even all the way to Pulse, because Pulse had a dip as well. Once that pool equalized or was drained, they now had the arbitrage opportunity, because that would have meant that OG drip, BUSD, and the faucet were sitting with the higher exit value. So that means they had to get out of wrap drip, and going out of wrap drip to OG drip creates a taxable event. That tax ends up in here. So even though the drip price dropped by 20-30% and the DripX price by 99.99999%, we put a 3x on the tax vault. So remember, I told you guys that my official thesis for when we hit deflationary was once we had stopped minting for about a month and the daily claims were less than whatever the average was for about a 2-week period. So I don't know what the average is right now for claims, but it's still around like 100,000 or so a day, I would imagine. So, but if things continue in this path, then I definitely think we will hit a deflationary status very soon on the drip token. Like, it's deflationary now, but all you that are following my content, all you really looking for is drip price appreciation. So deflation and drip burning and getting locked up doesn't do anything in the short term, because, go back to my video, we still need liquidity. So even though we're locking up tokens, what's important is adding liquidity to drip and the utilities within drip, which brings us to DripX. So let's head over here. Here is an update of what they've done. So DripX said 3 hours ago, while the Jeets enjoy their weekend break, it's our turn to shake things up. We've just injected a whopping 800K of liquidity into DripX BNB pool. We're lowering the daily miner capacity from 300 billion to 100 billion and increase the buy and burn to 0.3. So let's break that down real quick. So this 800K of liquidity went into DripX BNB. So let's take a look at that. So we come over to the blockchain, look at the receipts, don't trust but verify, and we can see that on PancakeSwap, they have a DripX wrap BNB V3 pool with 400,000 wrap BNB in it. And then of course it's a pool. So therefore the other side of that is the equivalent in DripX tokens. And that would show here on Dex Tools, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be here, this little mini pump on the chart that we see. So they have now increased the liquidity pool for DripX and wrapped BNB. So now there is another liquidity pool that will create another arbitrage opportunity for people to sell into. So as new miners come in, now there are different plays. So as your miners mature and you have DripX, the goal, of course, is to stake it. However, they're not pigeonholing people into the community, like forcing you to stake. So you will be able to still exit via Wrap Drip and DripX, as well as now a larger pool of Wrap Drip and Wrap BNB. So that is a plus. And then the next thing they mentioned, we lowered the daily miner capacity from 300 billion to 100 billion. So let's take a look at what that means. So if we come over here to miners, and you see now, you see the 100B on the days. So that's this number here. So there are going to be days that are inevitably probably capped out. What was that, 270? So these that are already over, you won't be able to add to. Like this one, I just had 103. So you wouldn't be able to add a miner to this day. And the one that had like the 280 or so, like these are capped out. So now it's going to become a rush for people to create miners, and the days will be maxed out. So what happens when, let's just say this day 8 is already full? Well, that means you have to go to day 9. If day 9 is full, you're pushed out to 10. So it's incentivizing people to get in earlier. And remember, when you buy miners, you are essentially locking up your BNB, because you have nothing to show for that transaction besides dashboard dividends. So that's what keeps this going. So remember, all these people that went in these days here and max this out, that BNB is locked into the contract. That doesn't come out. So that's what's make this sustainable. But there's still a black swan event, like I mentioned. Of course, if Matt and Eric decide to run off with the money, or if the AI drip devs ran off with Wrap Drip. So don't forget that. That is just the nature of the space in DeFi. Don't trust but verify. But the fact that the BNB is in the contract, there's no potential way for it to get drained by bad actors. Now, and they did the audits and things of that nature, so it should not get drained from any kind of malicious attacks either. So that's the security that you have, knowing that the tokenomics and the BNB liquidity side is there. Now, the next piece they mentioned is that they increased the buy and burn to 0.3 drip. And we can see that over here on the buy and burn. It now does $122 basically. And that's at the current price of BNB. And I ran this transaction already, so I can show you guys. So you can basically, if you call this, you can make 11 cents. And I'll show you what I mean. So we come over to the contract. This is the V2 DripX buy and burn contract. You see the 1.7 million in liquidity, which matches up with what you see here, the 4,167 BNB. And I'd have to go to the actual BNB to show you. But anyway, this is the actual contract. Here we go. 4,163. So that's needs to be refreshed. But anyway, you see this is my wallet. I labeled it Drip Coach main wallet, and I actually called that. It's not 16 seconds ago. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Because other people have called it since then, or tried to call it. So these, I think, might have been bots or whatever. So I was able to actually get through, because you have to use the PancakeSwap RPC. So when I called this transaction, it cost me, you can see down here, 31 cents in gas, and I was rewarded a whopping 41 cents. Now this can increase as the contract continues and grows and things of that nature. So they created this incentive for the community to call the contract. So now it's not the contract burning through BNB calling these every 10 minutes. It's the users, and you have to be in here and call it yourself. And at some stage, this could be decent rewards for you doing that on behalf of the community. So we still have $3.7 million in liquidity. And that's where this next piece comes into play, because their last portion says, and that's not all, our V1 and buy and burn is gearing up to generate external revenue to bolster the V2 strategy, or bolster V2. Stay tuned. So this is quite a bit of capital that they are going to rehypothecate and be able to generate additional revenue. And then with that revenue, use it in the buy and burn. So what we're waiting on now is for the next moves in the community for what people are going to do. Now that Drip has, I'm sorry, I was looking at Drip, should have been DripX the whole time. Drip BNB, DripX BNB. Yeah, should have been this. That should have showed you guys, but I was looking at the wrong chart. But anyway, but now that DripX has made its moves and the people in the community have done so accordingly, we can listen or look at some of the options like what Thomas G was stating, and then there's Titan X people and things of that nature. So we will see what happens at this stage, how much new BNB will be injected, what kind of moves will be made over the next couple of weeks, how the buy and burns will affect the charts, things of that nature. But remember, again, almost 4 million is locked into the contract. Even when stakes miners like mine come available, so like I have another one that comes available tomorrow, and I'm gonna show you that I'm already at a negative ROI, so I'm not incentivized to actually dump these tokens if I was another person in the community. Now, of course, some people will, but you can already see that I'm at a negative ROI if I take what comes available tomorrow and decide to sell it. So for me now, it's already better to actually just stake it, which is what I've been doing anyway. So I want to show you that as well, because again, it's about transparency. So this has gone up for my staking because I had my one big payout, the full power miner came available, and I started it here. You can see day 9, I did different percentages, different number values for that miner. 50% went here, blah, 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 blah. So now what's happened with my payouts is tentatively, now this will change because more miners are going to get staked between now and day 28. 20 days from now, there will be more miners, which means this gets diluted. However, there also could be more people buying, which adds BNB to the payout cycle. So take this with a grain of salt. We will see. But I've now added also to my 8-day payout. So there's definitely a lot of game theory in here. And if I get anywhere near 1 BNB out of this, I'll count that as a win in a 1-month cycle, because that's a 50% ROI in 1 month. And that wouldn't even add up the next 2 payouts, because I've already hit 1. So I'm going to just leave this here and see how this fares for basically 30 days, 32. So we can get another 8-day payout. But the longevity is here for this project based off the tokenomics and no black swan events. So the last thing I wanted to show is this new game theory strategy kind of thing you need to check in on. So now that the price has dropped so low, it's actually more advantageous to buy DripX. So let me show you. Over here, the lowest duration you can create a miner. And remember, the whole point of miners is to kind of get in cheap and get a bunch of DripX, and that DripX is the vehicle for BNB. That's again a video I'm going to make up later. But right now, a 1 power miner is going to cost you about $4.16, and that's going to give you 694,502 DripX tokens at the end of 8 days. And if you actually come over to the exchange and do the same $4, actually a little less, so let's try to get like 416. That's close enough. This will get you 940,000 DripX. Now you'd have to buy your Drip, but that Drip is going to cost you about $4.14. So it's better to now buy Drip or take your OG drip and turn it into Drip. So this is an actual excellent entry location for staking if you're looking at the long game and seeing what, again, the team is developing and you are bullish about it and understand how to play the game. If you're looking to get in and get out, this is not going to be the play for you, but not financial advice, of course. All right. Hopefully that made some sense. Smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? SPRITZ Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real-world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.